have read the newspaper in the last 2 days? Just 4. How many of you have read an article from the internet in the last 1 week? Many. Good. How many of you have read a book, magazine, or a novel in the last 1 month? That's excellent. Fellow youth leaders, Toastmasters, and guests, good evening.
Good evening.
The topic I would like to talk about today is the importance of reading. Some of us have a very narrow definition of the word reading. Reading, to me, it used to sound like studying, but not any longer. Reading, to most of us, is to study what is in our prescribed textbooks. Then we download from our memories everything during the exam. What is really important is that you read properly. Generally, what we think is that there are two main uses of reading. The first is that we become more knowledgeable. The second is that we become more humble. Reading enhances our knowledge, and knowledge is power. When we read, we become more knowledgeable. The more knowledgeable we are, the better choices we make in life. The better choices we make, the more influence and power we have on our lives and our surroundings. Good reading material comes to us in all shapes and sizes, from thin comic strips to voluminous encyclopedia. What is really important is that each one of us selects the material that interests us and then read. My second reason was that reading makes us humble. There is a saying, a fool thinks himself to be wise, and a wise man knows him to be a fool. Think about it. A fool thinks himself to be wise. A wise man knows him to be a fool. When we read some book from the library or borrow from a friend, we feel a bit wiser. But when we look at the books that are remaining and that we still have to read, we realize that it's just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more for us to learn, and therefore this thought, at least it creeps some humility into our behavior. Same thing is, let's take another example. Same thing is about a cookbook. When you read the first recipe, when you try it out, you feel a bit wiser. But when you see the remaining recipes, you realize that you have a lot more cooking to learn. For the sake of the rest of the family, let's hope our mothers finish reading these books quickly. Fellow youth leaders, just by reading does not ensure that you will get the 2 benefits I have mentioned. It's very important that you know how to select your reading material. For those among us who aren't in the habit of reading, start off by reading magazines with pictures. National Geographic magazine is a very good example of such a magazine. The pictures will grab your attention when you're skipping through the pages, and it will force you to read the captions or the accompanying articles. What is more important is that you realize what's your interest. When you're reading, don't just get stuck to one author or any one type of magazine. It's always important to have a variety in your reading experience. My favorite book that I have read so far is Roots. The reason I liked it so much is because it introduced me to things like African history, which has opened my eyes about something I did not know before, and something that I'm curious to learn more about. I also learned about the hardships faced by the slaves and got inspiration from their struggle and spirit to get identified. Fellow youth leaders, to conclude, I would say reading is important because knowledge is power. By reading, we become more knowledgeable and we become more powerful. Reading is important as it makes us realize that how much more we have to learn, and therefore we become more humble. With this, I hope all of you become avid readers. And if you come across any interesting books, please share them with me too. Happy reading!